Okay, so let me just start this recap by pointing out that I did not come into today with an attitude of let's get it all back and I gotta have a big day or anything like that. Instead, I was focused very much on the notion that I cannot mentally or emotionally afford to take another big hit right now. I must make sure that the next tick is upwards, and I have to do it in a way that does not take on a lot of risk. And so I found myself sitting there last night thinking, how the hell am I supposed to do that? And the only way that I know how to do that is to be that scalper that I keep talking about. The trading style that I'm trying to avoid here is the only one that I know that's safe, that's where I'm the most comfortable. And so that's what I ended up doing today. It's the adjustment that I made. And I sound kind of disappointed. You'll understand why that is later. But in any case, the result today is obviously a good one. It's the best so far. I had 8 trades. I was green on 7 of them, and I'm finishing with $122.94 in profit for a net ROE of more than 5%, which is very encouraging. So as we switch over to my trade log here, you'll see that I started the day with a red trade right here, losing about 18 bucks, and then I followed it up with 7 consecutive winners over 2 sessions. You'll note in the times here, I started my first trade at 7:43, and then I closed the morning session before the bell because I had some things to take care of. So I knew I was going to miss the bell, and I busied myself trading pre-market. And up until my CLSN trade, I didn't really have a ton of success. As you can see here, I got 3 profitable failures. And even though they're not big results, like you can see, these are barely winners. These are the trades that really made me think, okay, yeah, this is the adjustment that I need to make, especially today. And I'm really happy with what I see so far. So these trades, these 3 trades here, these are effectively losers. But I controlled the damage because of my approach. I approached it basing all my decisions on instinct and reads and not second guessing myself and just following through immediately on whatever I was thinking. And that resulted in some really safe trades, and that encouraged me. And at the end of that session, I hit a good one finally on CLSN, where I nailed a 10% winner in a very short amount of time, only a minute and 46 seconds. And it's worth noting, by the way, that this CLSN trade was kinda sorta entering in no man's land. It was already up a bunch. There was no significant pullback, at least not on the 5-minute chart. This was very much a 1-minute play. And I went with my instinct, and I was right. Like, I was so right. And you'll understand in a bit why this may be a problem. But in any case, you can see that I followed it up. I came back in the afternoon, and my entries and exits really tell the story in that there are multiples. There's scaling into positions. You can see I have 4 trades here where there's more than 1 entry, and I have 3 trades where there's more than 1 exit. And even the bigger trades later on, like the 5%, 8, 9%, 10%, these aren't really me nailing anything. I didn't score big. I didn't nail my target. In fact, on my first IFMK trade, I didn't even get anywhere near my target. My target on my second exit was just below 280, and I didn't even get there. And I still booked almost a 2.5 to 1 risk reward ratio on this. And so, like, I basically failed. This is like a not great day of me scalping and listening to my instincts. And here I go with, like, by far the best result in this account so far. And that raises some kind of problematic questions because now I find myself thinking, like, shit, the plan, I talked about it recently too in recent recaps. The plan was to try to make this other style work and to try until my balance got down to 2,000. And then if it got down to 2,000, then there are a series of if-then statements in my plan that are going to lead me towards a path that's going to be successful. But like I said, the value in making this first style work is limitless. And here I find myself, booking this day where I reverted back to what I know best, and the result that I got was by far the best. And I don't think it's really enough. Just one day is not going to be anywhere near enough for me to, make a big change. But I don't think it's a coincidence that today was my best day and that today was the only day so far where I really completely let myself go into that style, into the one that I know the best, into the one that I've built all these accounts. Like the success of every account that I've been successful with is a result of me being hyperactive. And while 8 trades and 5% is not exactly like a really huge result, it's not a necessarily hyperactive result. I do think that it's an important one, and I think it's going to cause some really heavy reflection over the weekend as to whether or not I should switch permanently. And I think it might actually be worth noting that this first afternoon trade on BRQS was among the most boring trades I've ever taken part of. I mean, I can't describe how many times I came close to falling asleep, how irritated I was by the speed of the move. It was so slow, so brutal. I mean, I'd watch like 150,000 shares go through and like, oops, tick, we went up 1 penny. And I basically got fed up with this. My original target was 250 for the second half anyway. And I took an ad on a 232, I believe it was, and I ended up stopping out of all of it at 231 because I just got completely fed up with this trade. It wasn't moving at a speed that kept my attention, and I found myself getting worn out by it. So I think it's interesting that within this day, I did take this trade, and it's one that doesn't fit perfectly within the style that I'm most comfortable with. So I did something unusual, and I still made it work, and I still found a way to manage it. And coming off it, I still reverted back to the normal style. Though my trades on IFMK are exactly the scalp mentality, try to limit the damage, scaling in, being really safe, having these amazing win-loss ratios. Even though it's small money, I mean, the amounts that I was risking on these trades are pathetic. It's like I risked 9 and made 28. I risked 13 and made 37. And so I look at these trades and I compare them to the ones where I'm trying to be responsible and trying to look on longer time frames and follow the 5-minute chart, and I'm just getting smoked. Like I look up on these results and I'm seeing like some really big losers in here, and my losers today were winners. So it's like, I'm sitting here thinking like maybe I have to switch here. And of course, like I said, like this is not enough evidence. We need to have more of this before I can be sure. But I have to say that my feeling within this day is what really counts. It doesn't show you as a viewer on the results how today went, because the comfort level today was just through the roof. There was never a time when I was scared. There was never a time when I was unsure or like any of that. There was no doubt really. And I even butchered, like I made some bad mistakes on this trade. I gave up a home run here. I should have nailed a really big one. Really big in terms of percentage. It should have been like about maybe 120, maybe $100 winner, and that would have been like 12-15% or more. Actually, it would have been closer to 20, and I didn't. I totally made a bunch of mistakes on the exit. I initially exited half, and then I took those shares back higher, and like made a bunch of weird moves. And this was a case too where there was an insane amount of bid support at $2. I'll actually bring up the chart here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, back here. So this is where I started getting in. There wasn't any of that crazy support yet. I believe it was right here. Yeah, on this candle. This is where a bid popped up at $2 for 400,000 shares, I believe. And we sunk down to that $2 level after my entry and soaked about maybe 40,000 of those shares, and then came right back up. And I kept checking. I did get live video. I'm not going to insert it, but I kept checking the depth. I kept checking the books and making sure that order's still there, because the price wasn't really reacting to it. And I'm thinking, guys, like, are you not seeing this? What more do you want in terms of support? I mean, we're at the VWAP. There's a huge buyer down below. Why isn't this skyrocketing? And if I zoom in, you'll see this is where I kind of butchered things right here. Is I exited on this candle here, and I thought, nope, that was the wrong decision, and then I got right back in. And this was just a sell half thing. It was like a security exit to just book some profit just in case. And I took them right back because the bid support came all the way back up. I think it was at 217 it popped up, and that's why I have those 2 quick entries back in. And I wasn't very patient on it. You can see that I ditched it very soon after at 228. And I thought that's a mistake. That was a terrible mistake. and it's so bad that I can't even justify getting back in. You can see we came up to 236, dropped down very quickly to 220, and then recovered very quickly. And I saw this, and I saw the volume profile lining up to make it look like it was going to surge. And I decided, you know what, this is actually too bad of a mistake. You're cut off for the day now. This is the point where you can't be making those mistakes with this style. And so to sum it up, this is the bind that I'm in right now, is that I had this day, or yesterday rather, I had this terrible day where things went wrong in a big way twice, and I suffered brutally as a result. And then today, I mean, granted, there was no power outage to, really mess up my day and throw me a huge curveball. But even if there was, and I suffered exactly the same damage as I had yesterday, which was huge, I still would have finished with the best winner in this account so far. And so even though I'm really keen not to jump the gun on any big, changes, like I mentioned a few times, I can't help but notice all the things that have lined up. And the difference, like I said, the comfort level today is really the thing that's making me kind of cringe at the fact that I'm probably going to have to think about this, and I might, even as early as next week, just be having to abandon my plan here in what I've been trying early in this account, and what I've obviously covered. I've made no progress whatsoever. In fact, reverse progress. I'm sitting in the red on this account still by 5%, and at least 5% on the balance. And anyway, so right now, I mean, it's really decision time right now for me, and I think it's additional testing time now. I want to make sure that my result today wasn't a fluke. Maybe the market just worked out and bailed me out, and maybe I did better than I should have. And so those are the kind of thoughts I'm trying to check myself with, because I mean, right now the evidence seems to be pointing in the direction of just, dude, what are you doing? Like, switch back to the style you know. Why are you even trying to do this? And these are the questions I'm asking myself, and these questions, it's based on, basically just today, just my experience today, and possibly a couple other times in the simulator. I had 3 full sim days since this account launched, and all 3 of them were very active, and 2 of them went deep into the red, and all 3 of them closed green. And they were all very active days where I took a lot of trades and played the same style that I did today, and I just went with my instinct on everything. And those 3 days in the sim went well, and then this first time that I do it in the live account works well as well. So right now what I'm thinking about is, how can I salvage everything? How can I get everything I want out of this situation? So what I'm thinking about, the idea what I'm playing with right now, is maybe I will switch back to this style temporarily to get myself into the green, which is a big deal mentally. I never trade well from the red, whether it's in a trade or on an account or anything. Any time frame, my decisions deteriorate when it's in the red. And so what I'm thinking is, maybe I should just build it back up to even, or maybe a bit more, maybe up to like 3,000 with this style. And then if all goes well there, well, then maybe from there I can try reverting back to, chasing the 5-minute flags, 1 to 3 trades a day, trying to just, snipe instead of being very active. So right now I'm torn between 2 main thoughts. One of those thoughts is that I look at these position values and I think every single one of these could have been like times 10, and I could have been finishing today with $1,200, which is the type of thing that I did in the account that I had around this time last year. But more than anything, my thoughts are dominated by how much work I'm going to have to put in if I abandon this style right now. That's the big problem for me, because I'm trying to prove something right now that's really important in the long term. And if I don't do that now, I am going to have to do that in the future. So I'm going to be creating potentially years of work for myself if I abandon this right now. But at the same time, I look at my results and I think, well, if I can do even like half of this consistently, then we're in business. And there's a couple of other things that I want to mention. Example, like the situation with halts is driving me nuts. The way that stocks are reacting to halts, I mean, I still haven't really done the full research, but I'm going crazy at how badly halts are reacting. I mean, there was one today that I saw that was like 1 million shares of volume or something, and it went up like 150% on halts, and there were great gaps, and then it halted down, and it acted the way that the hot stock should. And then meanwhile, the hot stocks are squeezing up into halts, and then they're breaking those halts, and the level is raising, and then they're squeezing into those levels, and then it keeps going. And it's doing this weird, like, chase the halt level thing that I've never seen before in 4 years of trading. So I'm kind of like a little weary of making the same plays that I would when I'm aggressive in this same way, because this wasn't the case even last year in 2020. So all this to say that going into tomorrow, Friday the 12th, I'm looking to be once again very cautious, looking to keep the losses absolute minimum. And if I have to give up profit, if I have to miss a winner, then that's the price I'll gladly pay to avoid any kind of drawdown. And if I can't do that, then over the weekend, we're going to do some serious thinking about what style I should open with on Monday.